JSA. Like, we're all very passionate about this organization, and that's why we're all standing here. We're sitting here on this Sunday afternoon. I feel what sets me apart in JSA is that I will work hard, that I will put all of my energies, that I will do everything I can to make sure that I fulfill the position that hopefully you guys will elect me to as best as I can. I feel that I do have experience both at the chapter and the regional level. I haven't held a position in the region, but I feel that if you entrust me with that, you will definitely not be disappointed. So Brian Kaplan.
I'm Monica Lar from Van Nuys High School. I'm running for AR Senator. I think what sets me apart is my determination. The fact that I was not really well these past couple of days and I still showed up shows that I'm willing to do anything for JSA. And whether I'm doing well or not, I'm still going to give it my 100%.
Winter Congress, and I know a lot of you personally, and I like getting in everyone's faces and making sure everyone knows what's going on, and I feel like that would translate well to Senate.
Hello, my name is Lacey DeGio, and I'm a fitness professional. I'm running for AR Senator. I believe that what sets me apart is not only do I know that I'm passionate about JSA and I love JSA, but I know that each one of us in this room love JSA, and I bring your ideas and suggestions to the table and really implement them. I do not just have passion, but the determination to get the idea done. So that's why I feel like I'd be a great AR Senator.
I'm Brian Cox from Surrey High School, and I'm running for SER Senator. I think what sets me apart is that I'm the only SER Senator candidate who actually came out here, out to the AR for this campaign, or for this one day, as well as the fact that I've actually spoken to one of the current senators about what they've been doing this year, and what they actually do in the Senate, which a lot of it's just working with the Lieutenant Governor and just pretty much backing up what they do. So I think that my close connection with the current senator would actually set me apart from the rest of the candidates.
Hi, I'm John. I'm John Amagadas, and I go to Santiago. I am running for SCR Vice Mayor. There are a couple things that set me apart. For one, the current Vice Mayor, Byung Choi, he goes to Santiago, and he's been a bit of a mentor to me since I came in my freshman year. He's taught me the ropes around JSA, so once I get into that position, I'll know what I'm doing. Other candidates talk a lot about dedication and determination to JSA. Here's a story for you. Earlier this week, I was admitted to the ICU, and I was in the hospital for a few days. But, I love JSA too much to miss a one day, so I'm still here, I'm still kicking, and I'll be at every one day and every convention here to represent the people.
Woo!
Are there any more questions?
What are your weaknesses as a candidate, and how do you intend to compensate for the weaknesses?
Let's go from right to left.
Me again? Thanks. John Amagadas, Santiago, SCR Vice Mayor. My weakness as a candidate would be that I probably will spend too much time taking into account everyone's opinion. Like when it comes to JSA, we always say democracy is not a spectator sport. Well, I don't believe that JSA should be one either. Since I've been in JSA, I've rarely been informed of what the issues are on a region or state level, and haven't been able to really participate and give my opinion. I'm going to spend way too much time listening to what everyone SCR has to say about every single issue, because I believe what they have to say is very important.
My weakness is actually that I'm too involved in too many activities. Red Cross Club, varsity tennis, theater, JSA, priority leadership in my school, as well as a couple of other activities like tutoring. But I'm going to get around that by, actually the fact that my weekends, which is usually when JSA meetings are, those aren't really affected by any of the other activities, so I'll be able to work for JSA.
Hello again. I also have the same exact thing, but also I'm kind of a perfectionist.
because that's not the way to run things and to delegate things. Yeah.
I feel that my weakness is that, just a few months ago, I didn't know about regional office. I don't think I even really knew what the Senate was. But since that time, I've talked to our local senators, I've talked to the lieutenant governor. I feel that I've really gained an understanding of what the Senate is, and what I can do. So I feel that my inexperience in terms of regional office could have been a weakness, but I feel that, I will compensate by working hard, as someone said, working smart. I also just want to point out that, like we've heard from a lot of people, and I think it's really cool that, people have been sick, people have been on their deathbed, people have been in the hospital. I actually just got my wisdom teeth taken out a few days ago. So it just really shows that we're all so passionate about JSA. Like, this is my first day actually being able to talk, so I think that's pretty cool. That we all just really, really care. So I think we all deserve a big round of applause for that.
I'd probably say that at times I can also be a bit of a perfectionist, and while that can hold me back, I think hopefully next year in AR leadership, it'll help me to continue the great strides that Sabrina has made this year.
I'd say my weakness is probably that I've been really involved in JSA for so long that I'm sort of entrenched in the system. But I think that I've had council chapter presidents meetings where we've gotten feedback on what the average delegate has to say. So I think by opening communication from the average JSAer to state and regional cabinet, that I could open that.
First, congratulations, you guys, for all sitting back. My question is, you've all talked about how determined you are and hardworking and all that. What is one thing you plan to do if you are elected to your position? Like one thing, or one thing you plan to change that is unique to you?
I know I've only got 1 minute, but I'm going to try and rattle through a lot of things because my platform is pretty dense. I plan to host a chapter president summit in which we train the upcoming chapter presidents in the Angeles region, because I've noticed that chapter president turnover hasn't exactly been the most fluid in the past few years. I also plan to start a program called Junior JSA, in which 8th graders would be allowed to come to the Spring One Day like today, so that next year or the year after, the incoming freshmen can be a lot more involved and potentially even apply for cabinet because they understand JSA before entering high school. I also want to set up a chapter alliance system in which more experienced chapters can work with less experienced chapters that are local to them. Just like King Drew is currently mentoring Compton High School, and I think it's a really cool system, and I'd like to expand that. I also want to have bi-monthly social events just so that you can get to know your fellow JSAers outside of the seats and guys. So those are some of my ideas for next year.
There are two main things that I'd like to see happen next year if I were to be elected as AR vice mayor. The first being that this year we've really focused on the expansion and getting more chapters and getting more people involved. But something that I think we sometimes forget to discuss is the fact that a lot of chapters are shrinking and getting weaker, and that a lot of chapters are also dropping out. So one thing that I think we need to do is to increase the communication between weaker chapters so that we can make sure that while we're expanding by 20 chapters, 25 chapters a year, we're not losing 30 chapters and taking one step forward but taking 2 steps back. The other big thing that I would like to focus on next year is the cost of being a part of JSA. I think the AR fund is a step in the right direction, but I think we need to do more because for many of us, $100, $200 to go to a convention can be a lot of money.
Ryan Kaplan, AR Senate. I actually, I didn't have something in my head up until I think that question was asked, and now it's kind of rolling in my head, so bear with me. I think, as I previously mentioned, I didn't know about regional office. I didn't know about the Senate. I feel that as senators, or as regional officers, we can all make a better effort at letting people know and talking about what regional office and regional cabinet really do, so we get more people involved and make a difference that way. So still in the beginning stages, but bear with me. Thank you guys.
they would not have the most nerve-wracking experience on their first year?
Okay, I want to bring some kind of food to 1Ks because personally, one of the most terrifying experiences for me is walking off campus to get food during a 1 day because I never have any idea where I am. And at my first 1 day, also most of the food around us was closed, and I got really confused and lost. So I would like to 1 day so that we could all get food without leaving and without getting lost and getting scared, which is usually what happens to me.
Hi, again, I'm Elisa DeGivio for Air Senate, and I don't know if any of you got my little packages. They have like mints and like pencils in it. I would bring like effectiveness to the JSA where we would understand events, and since you need a pencil for the ballot, you'd have it. You know, we're all talking here, we're all best speakers, that's why I gave hints. But someone talked about communication, and I have an idea for that, which would be increasing our social media. Since we're all in high school and we all are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, we're all involved with those programs, that we would use that more to our benefit to have, more communication of what's actually happening. So that's what I would use. I would implement more social media.
Okay, so what I would do as senator is, well, the most important thing is go over everything that's already in effect for JSA. For example, the dress code. I know certain things in it are not addressed and also not really publicized. For example, the votes, actually, there's nothing explicitly against them or saying that they're allowed. So I'd like to have that be explicitly addressed in the dress code for that. So,
As SER Vice Mayor, something that I would bring in on a region and I would hope it would be implemented on a state level is novice debates. Now, we all know that once we get into JSA and into the swing of things, it's a great experience. We have a lot of fun at every convention. But when you first come in, maybe you're a freshman, a sophomore, you've never really had an opportunity to speak in front of other people and give your argument. Now you step into your first convention and you go up and you speak and you're nervous, you're shaky, you're going up against speakers who are way more experienced than you. Then someone like Kevin Gu goes up and completely destroys your argument and you're in tears. We need to have novice debates set up for people who aren't experienced speaking, so they can come in, get a feel for things, improve on their speaking ability, and then step up with the big boys.
That's all the time we have for regional candidates. Could the candidates please stand up, please? Does anyone have any questions? Are there any questions for?
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, my name is Lauren Lee. I go to Orange Sisters High School. I am a freshman. I am from the SCR region, that is where my school is located. And currently I am on cabinet. I am a chapter coordinator, but most of my chapters are from the SCR region. So I have not talked to I do not know that many people from the AR region, but I would love to meet all of you.
What do you what okay, no don't take this in the wrong way. Like why do you think that you have the experience to be on such a high position?
I do realize that that may be a concern that several people may have. I guess my lack of years in being in GSA, but the thing is that I have a passion that far makes up, the amount of years and experience and my lack for that. connections to local officials like the mayor of Fullerton. My mother, she has met with the mayor before, and I actually live in Fullerton, and so and then also I do have connections to Ed Royce. So I believe that through I don't have the most connections to politicians, but I will do whatever I can in my willpower, so that I could get other children and other youth and other teens to be involved in the outside world.
Jessica Shin from University High School. I work a lot with the current Speaker of the Assembly, and one big thing is to get the Assembly members to actually attend these Assembly meetings and to work out different planks that you guys are going to submit. If you want to be the next Speaker of the Assembly, what are some ideas that you have for Assemblyman accountability, as well as creating these meetings to have purpose and have specific planks?
I agree with you. Like I stated before, I am one of the assembly members of my school, and I am a chapter coordinator. So one of my, jobs this year was making sure that every single chapter, did turn in their forms and report their assembly members. So what I think that we need to specifically do is that apart from announcing it, with the typical announcement that chapter coordinators give out, what we need to do is I think we should sort of put either give it an award. So maybe give the chapters like chapter challenge points if they do turn in their forms on time, for example.
Could the candidates for Lieutenant Governor please? Are there any questions? Are there any questions for the once elected, what's one, I guess, agenda or anything that you want to pursue, or the one thing you want to pursue when you're elected? Go from left to right, Matthew.
So to clarify, do you want me to just pick one facet of my 4-point plan, or do you want to do
The most important.
the most important?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess running for lieutenant governor, the most important thing would probably be Senate reform. And there are several things I'd like to do in the Senate. The first and foremost thing is I'd like to increase representation to make the Senate a body more of, by, and for the people. By creating a page on the SoCal website where you submit the ideas and we debate it and turn it into legislation so we can make it a more legislative and active body. The second thing is that I would like to go through the content that aren't followed exactly, or that provisions that I think should be in there and that we do use, but they aren't on the books. So I've just come through that and make that a little bit neater, because if we are supposed to be treated like a serious organization, I think we should do a better job of just those small details, just really combing them out. And then the third and final point is to just have Senate monthly updates so that way you know exactly what we're up to, and everyone can stay in the loop and no one will be left behind.
Hey, is it my turn?
Yes.
Okay, so of course as the LPG, you're in charge of the Senate. That's a given. I have another plan for the LPG. I'm really sorry, but because of the time restraints, one of course would be the monthly legislative agendas. I mean, the Senate, they're doing a great job now. I feel that more people should know about it. The Senate currently does have a Facebook page for more people to express their concerns. They have their Senate meetings at conventions for people to express their own ideas for legislation. So I think the idea of communication and openness is a problem, but it's also been rectified. So I think a step
So you're just gonna go back and forth.
Yeah.
So you would answer first.
Okay. So I'm gonna cut this really short. As convention coordinator this year, I fell into some big shoes. I was a nobody in JSA before, and Juliana gave me the chance to be convention coordinator. As you can see even today with this one day, I joined JSA first to be a debater. I won my best speaker gavels and all that stuff. And then with this job came a lot of responsibility. And I spent every single day. I had JSA karaoke, did the best speaker ballot, best speaker electronic voting. I did QR codes. I made the agenda more efficient and available for you guys to use. The JSA convention Facebook page, I just announced that. Not that many people know about it, so please spread the word. That's for me to make sure your names are spelled correctly in the agenda, and so that I have credibility as your convention coordinator, because I have to play the role that I'm given. And today, this whole day, I was working on the agenda with Tracy and Juliana, and while you guys are out having fun and debating and being JSAers, I was here. And it's not about the credit, but it's about getting the job done. And that's something that I contribute to JSA. I hope you guys can see that. So thank you.
So this year I served as the Southern California Director of Expansion, and while working with Sahans and Barry, we implemented a new program by Governor Joss. And the results are we had the most successful year of expansion in the history of the junior state of America. So in 7 decades out of every region, this year was the best. And of course I can't take sole credit for this because I did work with the great Director of Expansion. I did work with the great cabinet. And but the value of the contribution and the work that I did led us Southern California to be more diverse with more new chapters. And we now this year are on path to surpass over 100 chapters in our Southern California region, which, if I do say so myself, is quite impressive. And I do think that the 33 new chapters that have been created definitely account for a large part of that. And that these chapters are going to be long-standing because I've made personal communications with the new chapter presidents. And to answer your question, I think that is my greatest.
What were your policies on cabinet accountability?
Yes. Okay. Cabinet accountability, again, it's just making sure that people follow through with their work. And I'm not going to say that I'm going to have the approach of, start firing people immediately, but I definitely think that that should be treated as a more serious option, like a credible threat sort of thing, just to make people sure that they're doing their work. And another thing is I would like to also implement a program where we have, like we do this year, continue the program where we have all the department heads email their progress on what they've been up to that week. And so they must be reporting something new every single week. I know that I would hate to disappoint Governor Joss by sending her an email saying 0 chapters were created this week. And that's why throughout the year we have like over at least 1 chapter being created every single week. So that's why I'm going to increase cabinet accountability.
So of course what Cohen was saying was great, having a little bit of credible threat. But where I stand is that you can't just tell someone to do something without having something to back it up. And so what I really want to do is maybe a little bit drastic for some cabinet members here who have been slacking off, but I want to create mid-cabinet applications. I know we do it during the summer, and that's where we get our whole cabinet. But the thing is, there's this lag time. After winter Congress, after fall state and before winter Congress, there's this huge lag time. And you see a lot of cabinet members flopping and not doing their job. So what would I do as your LPG? I would work with the governor and review all the cabinet members. And of course, having weekly updates. Valerie always emails and says, Jessica, be sure to get the convention updates, as well as all the departments. We have our weekly phone call on Sundays. So I think maybe having the departments call their own heads. I do that with my convention department. We talk a lot. Having that being a great way of facilitating cabinet accountability. And also the mid-cabinet application is something I really want to focus on. Thank you.
I feel like as people in high positions in JSA, part of your jobs is to make it possible for other people who are interested in being involved in greater JSA to do so. I feel like right now, if you're not an elected official or you're not part of the cabinet, you're really not involved in greater JSA. So what opportunities would you make possible for people who aren't either elected or appointed in cabinet? What opportunities would you make for them to be active in greater JSA?
Okay. Oh my gosh. That question, because that's
there are several ways to go about this. The first way is to create more of an understudy program after Winter Congress, where we can start having new JSAers like learn the ropes and watch how it's being done as it's being done, like in preparation for spring state. And then over the summer, they'll be able to put that down on their cabinet application as something that they've done. The second thing that I like to do with outreach is, again, this relates back to my third point in the Senate, where you just have an overall big picture of what's going on, like what each department is up to, and that's why in my cabinet reorganization, I create two directors of public relations whose sole job is just to update the website to make sure that everyone's in the loop and that nobody's being left out of the big picture, including the new JSAers, who are arguably one of the most important segments of this organization.
Thank you both. To the candidates for governor views. Questions? Are there any questions?
That's an important question.
Yeah.
So the governor of Southern California is in a very unique position because Southern California is 25% of the entire JSA nation. So in addition to doing all of your statewide responsibilities, you'll be serving on the National Council of Governors and setting policy that will basically affect the entire organization for the next year. So what makes you guys think that you're endowed with the ability to take on this huge responsibility that seriously will make or break JSA?
Left or right?
There, left. Okay. Joanna's right. The position of governor comes with a lot of responsibility, and it's not just on a state level, it's on a national level. It's not just taking care of the SoCal region, it's the state. It's making sure that all the states are doing good and setting policy for everybody to follow. I think I have the experience to do this. I think most of my experience comes from outside of JSA. I've been ASB vice president to my school. I've been a part of my city's youth commission where I represent thousands of in the city of Montebello. So I know how to make sure that the people's voice is heard and that we take the people's voice and make sure that's actually getting into the legislation. Because it's easy for a group of 10 governors to make up legislation that they think could help JSA, but it's not easy to take the voice of thousands of junior statesmen and make sure that's turning into legislation. So that's what I would do. I would take everybody's opinion.
I think this is very important. One of the large parts of any relationship, whether it be a working relationship, is communication.
Should have did this.
I think one of the things that I probably would have done differently is just the cabinet expansion program. While I love it, and while it's definitely brand new, I think I would have given a few more resources to all the I don't know if you know how an expansion program works, but basically all cabinet members have to create a new chapter, and it's part of our responsibility. And I think I just would have come up with a little bit more of a guide to convincing people why to join JSA, because sometimes it's difficult if you haven't been to a conference and you're just on the phone. Maybe come up with a more comprehensive way to explain your experience and benefits of JSA to other people, so that we can really enlighten people without waiting 4 weeks for another conference.
I think the question in itself is kind of pushing towards that. Julian, obviously, she's been working her butt off this whole year. And every thing she's done has been to push things forward and make things better. Saying that she's done something wrong in particular would mean that we have to change it. I don't think there's anything that has been wrong, just that we should enhance, such as chapter expansion. I'd like to get up to what we previously had in chapters up to 100 not really anything I would flip around or change. Just kind of enhance every job, make sure everyone's doing their job in a way that it's connecting with the junior statesmen and getting them involved.
Just like Chris and Sabrina, I think Joanne's been doing a great job. There isn't really anything I would necessarily want to change or like overhaul or anything like that. But if you guys don't know, I'm the director of live stream and I'm a real tech PR type of guy. So I think that JSA should have a lot more PR. We should be advertising JSA to more people. It would make it just much easier to get people involved, because if your friends are talking about JSA, you want to be in JSA. So that's maybe something that I would want to increase, but that also includes, providing the resources to do that, like Chris was saying. Thank you.
What gives you the credibility to work on such a high level, like a national level? Like the state chapters, state, whatever, SoCal is obviously here, but on a national level, that's a whole different ballgame. So what have you experienced that makes you credible to step into that level?
So I think credibility is completely based on what experience you had and how well you did your job. Well, for the part about experience, I think I'm one of the most experienced candidates. I've been on cabinet this past year. I've been, like I said, ASB vice president at my school, editor of my school's newspaper, a youth commissioner. And what happened with me is I started locally. I started within my own Armenian community, because I'm Armenian. And then I kind of just moved up into the ranks and kept on moving up. And I think I've reached that point where I could be doing a job as big as governor. Also, I think that the second part of credibility is how well you did your job. And I think that in the technology department and with live stream, the entire technology department has been doing a great job, and we've really proven ourselves this year.
I think with credibility, like I said, it's all the experience. I'd say both of you guys have a lot more experience within cabinet, state JSA than I do. But really what it comes down to is making sure that you guys believe you're working to work hard. Back to what I said, communication is extremely important. And just making sure that when you're working with these people in the national JSA, that you're able to work with them in a way that you're not saying, you need to get this done, you need to get this done right now. You're saying, say what's going to work for us, what's the plan of action, and what's the best way we can execute it.
As for credibility inside of JSA, I started my freshman year as a chapter coordinator, was then elected, my sophomore year as a chapter, signed up for cabinet my freshman year, sophomore year I was chapter coordinator, was then elected to be Angeles Region Mayor, after which I went to Georgetown Summer School and Montezuma Leadership Summit. There I met hundreds of students from around the nation who I talk to all the time.